Testing the video, the sound, the frame. Did it not record anything? Bonjour, hello friends. So what I'm thinking now is I've made myself last year a long jacket coat with my woven fabric, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I wear it all the time. And I was thinking I'd like a short one. So maybe not exactly the same thing, but something similar. So I'm going to weave and cut and sew a jacket. I won't show you the pattern I'm using, but I will give you the references so you can buy it for yourself. So there are some steps I'm not going to get into much detail because, well, pattern copyright and stuff, and I just respect the creative process of that person. So for now, the first step is to find the yarns I'm going to use. So when you weave, I'm going to jump it down. Sorry, don't want to be patronizing, just for people who don't know much about weaving. So there's two parts in the weaving. There's the warping process and the weaving process. So basically, if you think of any fabric you use that is not knitted, it will be woven. So you have two ways that the yarn or the thread or the material they use. One way is like this and the other one is like that. So you can think about it as like vertical and horizontal. So the first thing you need to do is build a warp. So you go back and forth with the same yarn, and then you use another yarn or thread or whatever you want to weave, to actually do the weaving motion. Weaving in itself is a very, very simple process. It's been going around for centuries, and everywhere in the world, in every single culture, there is some weaving with some sort of device that is sometimes very, very, how to say, complex. And sometimes it's just a matter of having it around yourself as a belt and like attaching it to a good old tree or something. I'm very passionate about weaving. This is, I think, possibly one of my most recent craft. I think I've been weaving for 3 or 4 years. I got myself a loom, and then my dad, well, basically I saved money. I was saving money to buy myself a loom. And my dad bought me the loom for Christmas as a surprise. My dad used to be a weaver thousands of years ago. Hi, Daddy. So he bought the loom for me, but I had started saving. And basically when you buy a loom, so you need a stand for it if it's big. For a small, there's some small looms, they're fine on your lap or on a table or prodded on something, but this one is fairly big. It's 32 inches. I don't know what that is in normal money. Probably it's over a meter. I'd say like a meter, 120 centimeters or something. I've got no clue. But with the money I had saved, I had enough for the stand, because the stand is quite pricey too. So I managed to order everything in one go. My loom is a rigid heddle loom by Ashford, which is, I think, a brand from New Zealand, and it's made of wood and it's beautiful. I will show it to you in a bit. So first, the warp. So I'm going to use yarn for the warp. So what I used for the previous coat that I've made, that maybe I'll show you further down the line on this video. It's going to be several videos, I think, otherwise we're going to be there till Christmas. And a lot of the process will be fast forward when I film it, and I might not film all of it. I don't know, I'll see, maybe I will. So the first one I did, I used that yarn as the warp. So the warp can be as visible or as invisible as you want, because some weaving is warp faced and some is weft faced. So that depends on how strong you beat with the heddle or the comb, and it also depends on the thickness of the thread you use. So what I used last time was this yarn, Drop Snored in black. which was amazing, which was really good. So I thought my initial idea was to use this again, because then I can just play with whatever for the weft. But then I can only find one of those. I thought I had more somewhere. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. So I'm going to use this, and I've found other stuff. So I found this one. I can't remember what it is. I will find the reference. It's a commercial yarn that it's commercial yarn for, it's sock yarn basically. This one is sock weight too. It doesn't really matter. You can play with different thicknesses, and that's what I'm going to do. And then I've got those two that are, I don't know the exact references, but they're hand dyed by my friend Verity from Truly Hooked. She's an independent hand dyer here in the UK, and she's also a friend. And I did order that yarn because I made one of my children a super cool sweater for Christmas last year, and I still have some of this grey base, so this would be nice too. And I also have this one. Actually, I think those are friends, distant cousins maybe. So that's opal in a neon color, and I think that might look cool actually, maybe to use those two. I don't think I need tons, so I'm showing you different options because the way I make things, I just see how it goes. So I've got like a rough idea of what I want it to look like, but I never have a very, very definite plan, because what interests me mostly in everything is the journey, the creative process. So I like to leave it open as much as possible. You need some sort of planning because you can't change your mind like, oh, I don't like this swap. So you need some sort of rough planning. That's what I do. But that's about it. So one of those colors will probably be there. I'm thinking this would be really nice. Really, really nice. So that's for my warp. So I'll move this around for now. Now for the weft, my idea is I'm actually, now I realize I lied to you. Oh, liar, liar, your pants are on fire. I said that weaving was one of the latest craft I've learned, but that is not true, because it's even more recently that I have started spinning yarn. It's a slippery slope. I started crochet and then got a bit bored because all I could make was accessories, because all those holly tops and crop tops, let's be honest, that's fine if you've got like the body of a very slim toned, tanned, sporty woman who lives on the beach half the year. But when you're a middle-aged, deliciously curvy white female with no beach nearby, and even if I was going to the beach, the closest beach, I would not wear a crop top. Anyway, so I started knitting, and then I don't even know how it happened, but I started weaving, and then I was like, oh yeah, spinning looks nice. So I started spinning. Anyway, so I spin a lot, not a lot. It's periods of time. Sometimes I do a lot, and sometimes I just ignore my will for a bit. But I've got quite a stash now, but I don't make many things with it because my spinning is not very regular, and that is not a problem at all. As I said, creative process. I enjoy the sensory process of spinning. I think it's really cool. So I make what probably some people would discard if I was going to the international spinning school, or if the spinning police was to come, they'd be like, what? No, that's not as fine as my ass hair or something. So I just have fun. So some people, they sell it and they call it art yarn. Maybe I should do that. So I really enjoy it, and I've gathered quite a few skeins now. I don't measure it always, so I don't really know how much I have. And that is the good thing with weaving. It's that you can actually use any amount and any thickness of yarn you want. So it's ideal if you do other textile craft, because you can reuse stuff in your weaving. So that's why I like it too. And I like using what I have. So I did spin quite a fair bit last winter and the winter before that. And so I've gathered quite a nice stash, probably small compared to some of my friends. and at first I thought I was gonna make myself a jumper. I was thinking of making the whatever jumper from Julie Knits in Paris, which is amazing. Two of my friends have made it and they said it's amazing for this sort of yarn that you're creating with your spinning. But now I'm thinking I might use some to make this small jacket that I want, this short jacket. So I'm going to show you what I have. I've not even opened the boxes yet, so it's like unboxing video. So look, just to show that I'm not that disorganized. See, it's labeled and in boxes and organized and all. So that's like little porn moments now. So I've got this. That is really nice. I might use that. Look, this and this. Or this and grey. Or with the black. That would be amazing. So I'm going to like just take them off. I've got this one. So see, it's like various quantity. This one's got sparkly bits in it. That's quite nice. And then this one. I don't know if I want to use this one actually. I really like it, but I feel like it would be better for another project. And then I've got some red. So I think in this one, that's pretty much it. Those are hand dyed, but not hand spun. And then I've got another box. Moly moly. Okay, so those are, we discard them for now. There's stuff everywhere. And then, so we've got some more greenish with some pink accents in there. And then we have pink with grey in it. That's not hand spun. That's just the little ties I use to tie the skein together. And then what else have we got? Ooh, we've got brighter green. Oh, this one is actually. I'm a member of my local Weaver Spinners Dyers Guild, and I got that for the last. Spinathon, or I can't remember how it's called. Forgot the name now. It's not good, is it? I'll write the name somewhere there when it comes back to me. And then some pink and grey with a little bit of orange and green there. So my plan was to do some sort of fade at some point if I was to make the whatever sweater. So that's why all those colours, they would work together really well. I'm going to try and hold them together. So you can see, ooh, my babies, look, nice. So I will have to choose some of those and then make jacket with it. Oh, now, yeah, I don't really know. That's quite nice. But then this and this, a bit brighter. Maybe I should go for brighter, that's more like me. This one, I'm really not keen on it for that. I think it stands out on its own, but it's got so many colors that, I don't know. This one is a bit darker, but then it's good because it's bringing those two together really nice. So yeah, so that's my idea. So I've picked the yarns-ish, and now I'm going to set up the room, move the camera around, and start the warping process. So I will have little breaks and talk to you through how I'm doing this, but there will be a lot of fast forward moments, I think. So yeah, stay tuned. So I picked the yarn that I wanted to use ish. I've got a selection, let's say, and then I've now set up the room. It happened in 2 steps. So there's my loom here. So I've picked this heddle, which is a 7.5, which I think would be good for my fingering weight yarn, sock weight yarn. I could go with a 10, but I like working with a 7.5. I think it will give a nicer drape to the fabric. But if the jacket is nice, I might make another one, and then I might make a stiffer one and try it and try maybe to felt it and get like as much stiffness as possible. So here's my loom. I'm using chairs because I've just measured the length of the warp that I am creating, and there was not enough length. So I use one chair, and I'm using two this time, and they're this way because when you're warping the loom, although you don't need to have the craziest tension ever, it's quite important to have some tension. And I've got those lovely, you can see here, lovely vintagey wooden floors, and if I don't block the table and the loom, they just want to hug, and that doesn't work for me. That's like a massive problem. And then here you can see I've got three little things, I don't know how to call them, that I've attached to the table. So I'm gonna go back and forth between the loom and the table and create my warp, and then I'm going to crank the loom and get all the yarn on it from the warp, that then I can start setting it up properly so I can start weaving. So right now I've measured, I've set it up. Now I'm gonna grab my warping yarn and go back and forth. So that's my steps for the day. I'm using this yarn ball that I got as a gift a few years ago. I don't really use it much to knit, but I use it to warp, because the wool I use to warp, it goes on the floor, and when you pull on it, it just wanders around. So with that, usually it stays pretty much in place. So I'm using this, so I'm going to just put it on the floor there. First step, I'm going to talk. You won't be able to see in details, but I'm sure I will warp the loom again for another video, so you'll be fine. So I'm going to measure, because I know how wide I want my fabric to be. So as I said, I'm not going to give any measurements out loud, because for copyright infringement for the pattern. And also I need two little bits of yarn, must have some here. I'm going to mark on the loom where I want it to start and finish. So I'm just cutting two little bits of yarn, and I've got a hook somewhere that I've lost. I had prepared everything and now I can't find anything. This hook, I never find it. It's got a weird like beige color. Oh, there. Right, so that's the hook that you get with that loom. So what I do is I measure the width I want, and on the heddle, I'm going to show you, I think that's easier like this. On the heddle here, so you see that it's 7.5, somewhere there. And there is a very handy, here, in this little dot here, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little dot between Ashford and 7.5. This is the exact middle of the loom. So I'm going to measure, so I know how much I want, and the half of this, that's going to be the middle, and I'm going to warp from there to there, okay? So that's my first step. So it is kind of a tutorial-ish, if you've never done that before. Then I've got two pieces of string, and I'm going to mark the beginning and the end, so I know where I am. So that's my middle bit here. I'm going to show you in a second. So I want to be about here. It doesn't need to be exact, but I'm making it a bit bigger than what it should be, just because when you weave, the fabric has a tendency to draw in. And then I'm doing the same thing on the other side. I'm going to show you in a minute. Sorry for my poor filming skills. About here. So this little hook that you get with the loom is very, very handy to get through the heddle. So I'll show you what I do. Not everyone does that. People have different techniques, but that's what I found helps. So basically, see, I've got one here and one there. So I know I need to warp from here to there, and then I'll have the right width for my jacket, for the fabric I want to create. So there, and you always have lots of little, I always have some lots of yarn bar here. Now I am going to start with black, I think, which is good since that's the one I have in my hand. So I'm going to put it on the floor, well, not on the floor, in my bowl there. and I'm going to attach it to the back beam here. Just make a double knot, and that's when I'm going to start going back and forth. So I've got my hook, and I want to go into the slot and pull. As I said, I know you can't see much, but that's not really meant to be a tutorial anyway. And then I go on the first little, I don't know how to call those, little stick that I've got there, and then I keep going. So yeah, so I'm going to do this back and forth now for a while. So I'll film for a couple to get an idea of what I'm doing. So clearly that's not the sort of craft you can do if you live in a charming studio in Paris. You need some space to do this. Luckily I've got this big room, and because I know I need that space, when I redid the living room, I left that space fairly flexible so I could do that. Lots of people have different tricks, and I know my cousin, she weaves too. What she does is she does it with a small table, and then she lets the table walk towards the loom afterwards, because she does it on her own. I'm going to use a little assistant later that will be off camera, because I like doing it with someone else. I think it's much faster, and that's not very some of the bits of the weaving are not very creative. It's all the prep. Once the loom is warped, completely warped, then it's a fairly nice and meditative craft, art. But this bit is really going back and forth. I mean, there is creativity there in the choice of the yarn and stuff, but other than that, it's mostly exercise. So what I'm trying to do here is to go through each slot, not miss any. So, and I'm trying, as I'm doing it right now and talking to you, multi-task, I'm trying to visualize how I'm going to use this fabric exactly for the jacket, because I looked at the pattern earlier to remind myself how it was made exactly. So to see where this black is going to be in the jacket. But I do think, given that this is fingering weight and that I'm going to weave with fairly bulky handspun yarn, I think it's going to be weft faced. So I think whichever yarn I use for that, it really doesn't matter at all. Okay, so now I'm just going back and forth. That's all what I'm going to do. I don't have much to say for that. So I'm just going to put some music, and then I'll fast forward this bit.
Drinks go merrily around. We'll drink to the life of a rounder poor boy.
So I had to, I wanted to do the yellow at the end. That's what I'm doing. I wanted to start a bit later, but I got a knot in the black yarn. So I decided to start the yellow earlier. As I said, it doesn't really matter. I'm not even sure this is going to be any visible at all. So we'll see, we shall see. And then I'm going to tell you about the next step. I'm nearly done here. So normally, so as I said, you can work with pretty much everything. And well, you have like the weaving police. They will tell you like if you use this yarn weight, you need this heddle and this and that. If you want to get really technical, you can. But you can also have fun, explore. And then if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. It's not the end of the world. You can start again, or you can do something else with. You're still creating fabric anyway. It will work. It might not work for that project that you had intended it for. So you can just make something else with it. It's not lost. I learned that the good way, because I made a scarf for a very dear friend of mine, and I used it was at the beginning of my weaving journey, and I used the completely wrong, supposedly, heddle for it. And this is the most airy, drapey scarf ever. So I say, you know, do what you like. The two rules is that you want the thread to actually go through the slots and the holes on your heddle. So that's an idea of the thickness. And also you need to do the warp test. So I'm going to show you the warp test so you see what I mean. Because you're putting this under a certain amount of tension, not crazy, but a certain amount of tension. So you don't want it to break. So the warp test, I'm going to show you, let's find two examples. So this, for example, if I take it, I have no head, I'm headless chicken. This wool, if I pull on it really strongly, it breaks. Not good, didn't pass the warp test. But if I take some of this lovely grey, I didn't even try them, but look, I'm pulling, it's breaking, but I've been pulling like mad on it, okay? So that should work. And also some of the acrylic yarn, it looks like they can hold it, but they kind of fluff, and then they fray and they break. If it's one thread in the whole thing, that's not really an issue because you can fix it on your loom. But if you spend your whole weaving time dreading that one of the warp threads would break, that's not really good, is it? So yeah, so I've done this. So look, there's like a fair amount of tension, but not too much. I've gone back and forth 6 million times. And now I'm going to attach those. So I've got like 3 bundles basically. So I'm going to attach them with 3 different threads, cut them with my scissors, and I'm going to ask my lovely assistant to sit there and crank it up, crank the loom. So I think I might film what it looks like now, then set it back up here, and then show you the cranking process, and then come back to you to show you the next step where I'm actually threading the loom in the holes and slots, okay? So here is the setup. So this is the back of the loom. See my yarn ball with the yarn. So everything is here, nice. There is some tension, but not crazy. And then everything is going in the slots. So in a loom, you have slots. So these are slots, they're called slots. And here you have holes in the middle. So when you're warping, you warp the slots. And in every slot, you should have 2 threads, like this. Can you see 2 threads? Because it goes back and forth. The exception is the first and the last one, although I forgot for the first one, but it's not really a massive issue. The first and the last one, it's good to go twice in it, just so it reinforces those edges a little bit. So look, let's look underneath. Oh look, it's like an exploration thing. So hopefully, I didn't check, but hopefully every single one of those slots from my first thread here to my last thread here, so because I measured, has been threaded. And then, so it looks like the tension is not, but I can fix that in a bit. So here, so I'll go like this, so I can show you what we see from here. See, I love it. I love this view. It's like the very beginning of the creative process. And then we're walking all over this. So here is my super clever device to get the right length. And here, so here are the little sticks I was talking about. So those, when you buy the loom, you get them with it. And what I'm doing, there's lots of different ways of warping, indirect warping, direct warping, blah, 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 blah. I'm using this. I've always used that one because it works for me. And what I'm doing is I'm taking advantage, I don't know if you can see there, of the shape of my table, which means I should have a fairly even tension between the extremities and the center of my warping. It is also recommended to warp from the center out, but I don't do that because I don't follow the rules. So yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a bit of yarn here and there, each bundle together, and chop here. And then I'm going to hold those three together, and then I'm going to have someone who's going to crank. I'm going to show you this. So everything is going to be rolled up in there, on there, and we're going to use some of those little cardboard things. I'm editing the video with where I'm warping the loom, and I have realized that this video is very long. It's about just under an hour, even with doing lots of cuts without really altering the meaning and the process of warping the loom. So I've decided that I'm going to chop it into two, this first part, so that'll be 2 half-an-hour-ish. And then the next episode, you'll see me actually weaving the fabric on my loom. I hope that doesn't alter too much the understanding, but I think it'll be fine. It's just that I don't think anyone likes me enough to watch an hour of me. And that's a very long video, like 58 or 59 minutes. So I'm cutting it now and finish editing, and then I'll post this one. Then next week, next Tuesday, come back for the second part, and then the following Tuesday, you'll see me weaving. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want me to post videos about a particular craft, if I know what I'm doing, I can show you. I'm planning to get some overhead filming gear soon, so I can show my hands a little bit more and show what I do, because I've realized that I'm pretty restricted in what I can do, what I can show you without having this sort of gear. And the thing I use to hold my phone, it's not good enough for that, really. Even just to do this, it took me 5 minutes to manage to get the phone to hold at the right height and stuff. So yeah, please keep watching, share with your friends. I'm really enjoying those videos, but if no one watches them, then there's not much point. And feedback to me if there's stuff you want to see, or stuff that you think could be improved. Any comment is good. So yeah, peace, love and vulvas, friends. Bye.